including. And out of respect for people's time, we will start the meeting now. So I expect that there's going to be a fair number of people on the call. We already have 17 on the line. So I'd like to start the meeting by having people briefly identify themselves by providing their name, title, in the company they're representing. And if we can go by the order of, I think everybody sees the same order as I see. It has my name first and Alan Jock second. So if we can go in that order, that would be great.
Sure. So Alan Jock, my background is biopharmaceuticals. I've worked for Baxter, Wyeth, Pfizer, and Leo Pharma, a Danish company. Been in Europe for 21 years. About a year ago, joined Connexus, which is a supply chain planning solution. And I lead our Life Science Industry Council in Connexus.
Thanks, Alan. Mike? You're on mute.
That'll work better when I'm off mute. I'm Mike Dahlman. I'm the Senior Director of Supply Chain at Avidity Bio in San Diego, though I'm based in Arizona. Worked in both small and large molecule for far longer than I care to remember. And always focused on supply chain, though very much upstream. I'm a scientist by trade, a biochemist, and looking forward to working with you all.
Thank you. The next one's Devendra, so we'll skip him. It looks like he had to jump to the other meeting. So Matt.
Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Bloom. I'm responsible for business transformation in Catalent. Been in the pharmaceutical, clinical, supply chain arena for about 23 years now. My team's responsible for bringing new offerings, new services to the market and operationalizing them within Catalent.
Thank you. Next.
I think you're going to have to give names, Bill, because the
Okay.
order.
All right. Amy, I'm not sure if you're next, but I see you're on mute.
Okay. I heard Amy, right? Okay. Amy Thompson. I'm with Eidos Therapeutics, Bridge Bio Company. I've been there for 4 years. Before that, Gilead for about 7. Before that, I was in this was all focusing supply chain. Before that was in manufacturing, biologics, and R&D, always R&D to commercial launch products.
Okay.
So
Thanks, Amy. John, I think you're next.
Hi, everyone. My name is John Miller. I work at a company called Wugen on the cell therapy side, so CAR T and NK. I've been there about a year. Prior to that, I was at Pact Pharma as head of supply chain and procurement for a couple of years. Before that, it was Intarsia Therapeutics and then Genentech Roche prior to that.
Thank you. Cal, I think you're on mute.
Oh, you mean Cat Hall? Sorry, on Zoom I'm abbreviated. Hi everyone, I'm Kat Hall. I'm Vice President of Data and Quality with Endpoint Clinical, which is an IRT company. I, previous to that, had spent over 20 years within the pharma industry, primarily in clinical supply chain. I'm also the incoming chair of the ISPE Investigational Product Committee, as well as serving on the New England Clinical Supply Organization Committee. So I've been in clinical supplies for a really long time, really stay close to the community and what's going on in supply chain, and like Mike, started off as a biochemist.
Okay, thank you. Melissa, I think you're next, and you're on mute.
Great, good morning, everyone. My name is Melissa Lucas. I work for Biocom California. I recently joined the team. I think this is week 8, working with Greg Gindomenico. I am working to refine and reevaluate our portfolio of offerings for our members and then build out future categories. My background is actually not in life science. I've been in supply chain and strategic sourcing for almost 15 years, but in a number of different industries, including national restaurant chains, and then actually consulting in a number of different industries. So happy to be a part of this community and this conversation today. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Melissa. I see my name list is skipping around, so I'll just pick on Sebastian next.
Sure. So good morning, everyone. Sebastian Cope from Inside. So I'm Life Sciences Director here, supervising all activities in clinical trials and clinical supply chain. And my passion is about leveraging the data, optimization and AI techniques in order to provide more accurate forecasting, optimization, and drive efficiency in clinical trials throughout clinical supply chain optimization.
Thank you. Aparna. I know you're on mute. I think you might be driving, but I'm not sure you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, I've switched my schedule. Thanks, Bill. This is Aparna. I'm the Life Sciences R&D Solutions Lead from SAP, and I cover SAP solutions all the way from product development, clinical, anything and everything related to R&D solutions. Have been in the life sciences industry doing business consulting for about 16 plus years, and now part of SAP. Happy to be part of this group and eager to learn more.
Thank you. Derek.
Hey, folks, I'm Derek Thornton. I'm head of the IRT team at Amgen. I've been here the last few years, last 3 years, and prior to that, I was at Almac for 12 some years, supporting their supply chain and also building IRT systems there. So, and then before that, I was in biochemistry as well as Kat and Bill and several others. So I think we have a source from the biochem world. But anyway, happy to be here. Thanks.
Thank you. Bob Lamont, you're on mute.
Unmuting. Good morning, everyone. Bob Lamont. I'm a partner with Clarkson Consulting. I am not a scientist, but I've been involved with BSMA for the last, coming up on 5 years. I've known Devendra for probably double that. And really excited to see where this organization has grown and excited to be part of its continued growth.
Thank you. Yogendra. You're on mute.
Yeah, hey, sorry about that. Good morning, everybody. This is Yogendra Chordia. I'm a co-founder of Stroken. We are a 4-year-old, we still call startup, focusing on life sciences supply chain, and work with Devendra and Bill for almost like 2 years now, and based in Bay Area.
Thank you. Hannah.
Hi, good morning. My name is Hannah Rapp. I am an IoT manager at Amgen. I actually work under Derek Thornton, and I've been at Amgen for 16 years, most of that time in quality, and a few years in clinical supply chain, and my current role as an IoT manager for 2 years.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. Ryan Pedroni.
Good morning, everyone. Ryan Pedroni. I am the Senior Director of Business Systems and Process Excellence for the Operations Group at Icon Therapeutics. It's a small R&D company based in the San Francisco Bay Area. Just joined last week. Prior to Icon, I was at Beijing for 3 years, where I played a similar role. And before that, Genentech Roche, also in similar roles, but focused on commercial. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Rutesh.
Hi, everybody. Ryan, we miss you already.
Hi, Rutesh.
I'm Rutesh Desai, everybody, from Beijing. And, after Ryan left, I'm the interim head of our group in global supply chain. We are responsible for both clinical and commercial supply chain from a system standpoint and a process standpoint. Prior to this, I've worked at Roche Genentech for over 13 years in various capacities. But the second half of my career at Genentech was in clinical supply chain. So, I've been part of BSMA for over 10 years now, and really happy to be part of this team.
Thank you. Antonio.
Hi, my name is Antonio Tramontano. I work for Novartis in clinical supply for many years in IT, and then I moved into business as head information and system governance.
Thank you. And I see from the chats that Ryan Mills from Denali is driving. So, oh,
Hey Bill, I'm
okay.
here. I can
Okay.
introduce myself. Hi everyone. I know a lot of you, but I'm Ryan Mills, head of supply chain at Denali Therapeutics. Prior to that, I spent time working at Gilead, Apple, and Genentech. Been part of BSMA for almost 2 years now. I'm looking forward to working with everybody again this year and next.
Thank you. All right, did I miss anybody? Great. Okay. All right, so thanks everybody and welcome. So I'm gonna quickly go over the next couple parts of the agenda to hit on so that we can focus most of today's talk about the work streams. So for those of you who have been part of this steering committee for the past several months, I should say for the benefit of those who haven't been part of it, I'm going to briefly mention some of the highlights of what we have been up to since a year ago, January. That's about the time that we established this steering committee. One of the first things we did was we came up with a charter. So I won't go over that detail right now, but my ask is for those who haven't seen it yet to look at the back of the deck after this call, and you'll see what we're all about. Also, about that same time, we sent out a survey asking what keeps people up at night. And for the most part, what we talked about over the course of the past year are those topics, issues, challenges that people identified in that survey. And then I sent out a second survey shortly after our June annual conference, and I'll be talking about that in a few minutes. Also last year, this year, we had our first in-person annual conference in over 2.5 years, delay being due to COVID. Very well received, so based on the input of the survey. I'm hoping that the conferences that we have for next year can match this one in terms of quality. And if we do, then I think we can all pat ourselves on the back. Last year, since we didn't do an annual conference, we hosted 3 webinars and 1 in-person event in the Bay Area, established 2 work streams, 1 on clinical forecasting and 1 on improving end-to-end visibility, formed an alliance with 10th Pin. For those of you unaware of what 10th Pin's all about, they're essentially started out as a alliance between 10th Pin, SAP, and Roche, and quickly expanded to include many other farmers, mostly large. I know a couple of folks on this call are part of it. They approached us early on, since many of our members include the small and medium-sized companies, with the idea that in order for that initiative, as well as others, doesn't have to be with just SAP, to become successful, we all need to help migrate to what we see as best industry best practices. And that's sort of what we're all about, to help the industry achieve that. And then mid-year last year, we started expanding the scope of these steering committee calls to include group discussion about issues and challenges. And some examples of that were, we talked about the staffing and hiring shortages, the impact of the Ukraine war on supply chain, the challenges we have with Latin America, and so forth. I see Malu join. Welcome, Malu.
Bill, hi everyone. Sorry I'm late.
It's okay. That's where we were. Now, where are we going? So, based on the input from the survey, the idea here is that we're going to establish work streams. These work streams will be co-chaired by SMEs, at the very least, to include an executive, supply chain executive from biopharma, and subject matter experts from service providers. These SMEs will help define what specific areas within these work streams should be focused on and provide solutions relating to their work stream. And then they will share this output at, among other things, podcasts, where they'll spend some time saying, here's some best practices in these particular subject areas, and allow people to weigh in, ask questions, maybe add commentary of maybe additional ideas for the people participating to benefit from. The idea is that anybody who's interested will be allowed to participate. I would strongly encourage all of you, to let your staff and coworkers know about these when they come out. People can continue dialogue about the topics here at our chat room, which we technically haven't rolled out yet, but it's ready to roll out, and it's just looking for a reason to start doing so, which I think we now will have. We'll also have these work streams share this information at webinars and at next year's BSMA annual conference. And these solutions will be documented by DSMA and shared for members to read, review, and hopefully benefit from. So what's that mean for the steering committee? Well, the steering committee won't go away, but its purpose will change slightly. The steering committee will identify and create these work streams, provide directions for the work streams, plan topics for the annual conference, including what topic we'll have for its workshop, continue to dedicate time at these meetings for members to discuss challenges and solutions, such as the examples I gave you on the last slide. And we'll reduce the frequency of these meetings. Before, we were typically having these every month. The idea now is to have them either once every other month or every 6 weeks, depending on what the members want. Knowing that people have they'll be, in order to help participate in these work streams, I don't want to burn you out by having too much, asking too much of people. So based on the survey that was sent out a few weeks ago, which asked people to prioritize 7 areas of interest, far and above the top 3 that people expressed interest were transitioning from clinical to commercial, ensuring a successful product launch. And thanks to Mike Dalman and Aparna for agreeing to co-chair that work stream. The second work stream, tools and technologies beyond Excel to ensure ERP readiness. And again, thanks to Rutesh and Dan Silva. And the third is clinical supply and demand planning, co-chaired by Ryan Mills and Sebastian. Now, what does that mean for the other areas, which were understanding and adherence to clinical supply compliance regulations, direct to patient and JIT challenges and solutions? budgeting and managing clinical supply expenses and comparative sourcing. Well, I'm going to defer to this group on that. One option is that we say, hey, we got enough on our plate. Let's focus on the first three. And as time allows, maybe we can add more. A second option is we have some people who are so interested in those who say, hey, I really want to, help establish this. And people are willing to join with me on that. Let's try to do that. That's a second option. And the third is, as we define the scope of these first three, we say, hey, this one's close enough to this particular work stream that let's add that topic to this. So next steps is identify additional SMEs for each work stream. Ask them to meet sometime over the next month to define the scope and desired outcome for their work stream, and come back at our next steering committee meeting, which is tentatively set for October 27th, where the steering committee listens to the scope of each and provides their opinion, adds, tweaks it, or whatever. And hopefully at that time we can eliminate if there's any overlap or redundancy or vagueness within any of them, we can address that. And then each work stream's sort of off to the races in terms of doing what I defined earlier. So I'll pause. And before I ask if there's any additional people who are interested in working with any of the work streams, I'm happy to address any questions that might be out there about what's been said so far.
Bill, I think you already started talking about this, but where are we going to add people to these work streams? At what point and from which pool, if you will?
Okay, well, the first step is right here during the call. There's a couple of people who I know couldn't make today's meeting that have already reached out to me and said, Bill, I would like to help work with the supply and planning team. That was JP from 4G and Luke Moyer for Insight have asked to be there. So what I'm hoping again is that the first thing we do is from this call, see where there might be some interest. They will meet offline using as a starting point what you see in the slide for what the scope might be for that group. And then we will do the heavy lifting, we BSMA, in terms of publicizing when your meetings are, so that so that people can participate in the broadcast that you're going to have. And I guess one last thing is I'll send out emails sometime after the SMEs have met, asking if anyone else is interested in joining each of these work streams.
And Bill, the expected cadence is monthly meetings for these work streams?
That's what the work streams, I'll allow the work streams to define that. I mean, if we think through this, if we've got 3 work streams and they want to do podcasts, I don't know whether the appetite for this is that each work stream does 1 podcast a month, or whether or not something more or less often than that, it makes more sense. I'd like to think that let's start with an ask where each work stream has their own internal meeting once a month, and a podcast once a month, and then we can go from there.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
Is there a limit to the number of work streams a single person, SME, can be involved in?
No, I imagine that some individuals will want to join all three work streams because all three topics keep them up at night or are very pertinent to what they're doing and what they're working on. I would also think that there are some companies, not to pick on you, Matt, such as a Catalent or a Fisher, that will say, we're big enough and have our hands in all of these, so that they find a representative from within their company, a different representative from within their company for each separate work stream. There's no rules on this. It's what makes sense. The idea here is to help the members and help the service providers achieve what they want to achieve.
Yeah, makes sense, Bill.
Any other questions? Okay, then let's go back to step one, identify additional SMEs for the work stream. For transitioning from clinical to commercial, I took a stab at what the scope of that is. So it's consider it just a draft, but that could be, what are the processes that that a company needs to be thinking about in order to be launch ready? Does the organizational structure look different? What can be expected in terms of changes to the people culture? Does it involve CMO selection? Because possibly the scale of your lot sizes needs to suggest a change in your lot size, and how and when do you do that? Same with batch sizes. How do you manage process changes when you're trying to nail down what a process that supposedly you're not supposed to change once you've done your validation and PPQ batches? What are the regulatory challenges? What are the logistics challenges? I mean, this is just a starting point. The scope of this could be very large, or is large. Is there anybody on the call that would like to work with Mike Dauman and Aparna from SAP?
I would volunteer. My last role at Leo Pharma, we did exactly that. When I joined when we were in phase 3, and then was responsible for getting that into commercial launch.
Okay, thanks. I can't see who's talking.
That's Alan Schuck.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Bill, it's Bob Lamont. Definitely would want to be part of this work stream.
Great. And I know there's a couple people who actually sat on this panel during the annual conference.
Yeah, Bill, I will also join this, Yogendra.
Okay. I know he couldn't make today's call. He's on holiday, but I can reach out to Carl Levitt from Beijing unless anybody on the call who's already on this group knows him personally to do so.
I could do that, Bill. This is Ritesh.
Oh, okay. Then there's one person I have to look up his name. He used to work at Genentech, and now he's at a startup in Sacramento. I'll reach out to him, and there's two other people from the that I will reach out to at the very least that I know would be helpful people in this group, given their given what they shared with us at the annual conference on that panel. Okay, going once, going twice before I get to the next section. Anyone else for the
And
first
Bill,
one?
I'm assuming you already have Ann on the list, right?
No, I don't. Thanks for speaking up.
So yeah, so I think Ann McMahon would be the logical person from us, and then yeah, I think she's the right person from Catalent.
Okay, great. Okay.
Bill, this is Malou. Just a quick question. Sorry if I missed it. If you're not part of the work stream, are you still able to listen in to learn?
Oh, absolutely. What I envision is that each of these work streams will have, let's say, 3 to 6 to 8, whatever the number, SMEs. And the podcast, I'm hoping that will have 50 plus people participating that can hopefully, as mentioned earlier, contribute, or if not, just listen to what has to say, because I think everybody's, whether they're experts in this or not, will find value in all the experience that's represented in these work streams.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, so that's a good start. So tools and technologies. So first, a starting point for the draft. I mean, for the scope. How and when should a company consider technology solutions? You know, and this isn't just about when do we go from Excel to SAP or Oracle or whatever, but you know, what are the steps in between? You know, how and when do we add a bolt-on, such as maybe Kinaxis or something similar? Or how and when do we get a integrate with our distributors, such as a Catalent or Fisher Allmac? Or how and when do we integrate with IRT companies? And how do we justify it, and so that we can get the financial support of our management? Data analytics is a huge area. Some might argue it could have its own work stream, but for the sake of not diluting all our resources here, that's another area that as a starting point, I'm suggesting we include in this work stream. So as a starting point, we have Rutesh from Beijing and Dan Silver from 10th Pen. Anyone else on the call who's interested in working with this team?
Hi, this is Antonio. Happy to join this work stream.
Thank you, Antonio. And
Hi, Bill. This is
people...
Ryan Pedroni. I'd also be happy to join.
Okay, thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, this is Yogi. Bill, happy to join that.
Okay,
And
that's great.
You can add Alan Shark.
I'm sorry, what was the last comment?
You can add me, Alan Shark.
Okay.
I need to keep an eye on Antonio.
Yeah.
Bill, Bob Lamont, sign me up.
Wow. Okay.
Hey, Bill, this is Kat. You can put me on that one.
Great. Yeah. I was hoping you'd say that, knowing your background in data
I knew that extra
analytics.
plug on data analytics was pointed at me.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And there's a couple people who just announced new jobs within our BSMA community. And actually, I'd never seen a job title of data analytics for a clinical supply chain position until this person announced it. So we'll try to recruit that that person as well. Anyone else? Okay, next.
Bill,
Clinical
I'll try to get a
supply-
name. I'll try to get a name for you.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Matt. Okay, the third area, which is very generic, clinical supply and demand planning. Demand planning, supply planning, S&OP. I threw in inventory optimization, thinking that you know that might be a good area to put that in. And for lack of a better explanation, I would say the tools and technology is just that. It's the tools and technology part, and the work stream below it is the processes that are important to establish ideally before you try to implement a technology solution. So we have Ryan Mills from Denali, Sebastian from Inside. I already mentioned to you that JP from 4G and Luke Moyer from Inside, who were unable to be on the call, asked to be on this group. Anyone else on the call?
Hi, Bill. You can add me, John Miller.
Okay.
And Antonio, I'm also happy to join this one.
Okay.
And same for Alan.
Okay.
Same for Ryan Pedroni, please.
Anyone else?
You could add me too, Bill. This is Malu.
Okay.
And you can add the Amgen, me, this is Derek, and Hannah participate.
Okay. And thank you. Anyone else? I have a call tomorrow with Mark Trombella from BioMarin, and I'm sure before I'm done with that call, he'll be added to this one. Okay, and Malu, since you people aren't weren't able to introduce yourselves, would you mind introducing yourself now?
Oh, sure. Hi, this is Malu Berdan. Excuse me. I'm currently at Beijing, leading one of the clinical programs over there, and just happy to participate here at BSMA. I think we have a wealth of information here, as Bill has said many times, and I think it's a great resource to share a lot of that knowledge, a lot of that experience, and help resolve a lot of the same challenges that we're facing here. So thanks, Bill.
Okay, thank you. All right, did anybody else join after introductions that I might have missed? Okay, so that's fantastic that we had so many people sign up for these work streams. So again, just to circle back, that was step one on this slide. Step two is for them to schedule their own meeting. Feel free to invite the vendor and myself. And starting with the scope that I've defined on this slide, come up with what you feel the scope of your group is and desired outcome, and then we'll circle back and discuss it as a group on October 27th. So since we do have a little more time, I would want to go back and just get people's reaction to these 4 bullets that weren't that sort of didn't make the cut, so to speak, on the work stream. to get people's opinion, how is there any interest such that we should try to squeeze these into one of the top three? Okay, I'll take silence as not enough interest. Last question.
I can offer, Bill, that the ISP has had a direct-to-patient task force together for quite some time. So if anybody is particularly interested in that area, they're always willing to have people come join them.
Okay, that's good to know. If you want to send me info on it, I will be happy to forward it to the members.
Okay.
Yeah. As people know, a survey, the answers to a survey is all in how you ask the question. And when I asked the question on the survey, I didn't say what's important and what's not important. I said rate it 1 through 7. So I have a feeling that these are still challenges and issues that people consider important, but let's not put too much on our plate at now. It sounds like is what I'm hearing. The last question on this slide is, as mentioned earlier, we are gonna, in our next annual conference, and I'll show that slide in a minute, we will certainly include in there a presentation or a panel on the first 3 subject matters. And it might even be, each one may have more than one, given how broad each subject is. But we had so much success in the last event, in the last annual conference, on having a half-day workshop, which was essentially just clinical supply chain for beginners. We want to build off that success and do another half-day workshop at the next conference. So at our next, so my ask is to start thinking about that. And I'm going to want us to talk about it at the next conference. And maybe that's where we consider doing a half day in one of these 4 topics below. Again, not to force feed people on that idea, but whatever you folks want to do, my ask is start thinking about it, and we'll talk about it next month. Any questions on that?
Bill, I have a comment about the comparator bullet. I remember 10 years ago, I got pulled into this. It was supposed to be some kind of consortium between pharmas where they were going to start trying to work together on these comparator things. I can't even remember what it was called.
Transcelerate.
But,
Transcelerate.
Oh, it was so long ago. But I guess you were aware of that. I don't. It just fizzled out. At the time. I don't know if anything's happened since then, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely created a comparator group and established a way to work non-competitively together to help source competitive agents in clinical trials. It's only available to the members and did kind of fizzle out. Terry Walsh, the person, has a lot of that information background and history.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. I mean, and we can make that a subject to talk about at one of the next steering committee meetings. Because for what it's worth, we have a new member of BSMA who is a CEO of a comparator company, and not sure if Biocom might be able to bring some value into this area, given their expertise in group sourcing.
Yeah, absolutely. We can talk about that.
Okay. Future events. Work stream meetings will announce once the co-chairs, once two things happen. The co-chairs have their meeting and come back to the steering committee with their thoughts and ideas, and then they can start rolling out their dates. Two, steering committee meeting, October 27th. Question. I know it's sort of silly for me to say what during the call what works better, morning or afternoon, because those who can't make the morning can't answer for themselves. So I will send out an email to everybody asking if there's a preference. Notwithstanding that, as you heard from today's call, we do have a handful of folks calling in from Europe. And last but not least, we have our annual BSMA conference. Just the dates was just announced a few days ago, March 8th and 9th. Probably the same place as last year in Foster City. It will likely be the same format as the one in June, 2-day event, workshop the first morning, social event that evening, and more details to come. Okay, that was the last slide. So we're able to end the call a little early. Are there any other questions or comments before we sign off?
So Bill, assuming the work stream leads will have access to our email addresses.
Yeah, or I can just do that work for you. You can send me, here's what you want. Can you know, I'm thinking that I'm gracious enough as it is for people to volunteer to participate on these. I don't want to overburden you where there are things that BSMA can do for you, such as sending out meeting invites, helping organize a webinar, or keeping a base of where this information can be stored for people to use.
Bill, this is Ryan. So just to be clear, you'll send the folks who volunteered today and their email addresses to the co-chairs, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, that went over my head. Yeah, what I will do now is for those who have volunteered, I will send that contact information to the two co-chairs so that they can send out the meeting invites for them. Does that work?
Perfect.
Okay. Any other questions?
To be a late, yeah, this is Melissa. Sorry to be a late addition to the conversation here. I just connected with Greg and just wanted to align with him about our participation in one of the work streams. So I'd like to volunteer myself to join work stream number 1. Admittedly, the E subject matter expert. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I'm an eager learner and will contribute in other ways. I promise.
Okay. Thank you,
okay.
Melissa.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, going once, going twice. Thanks again, everybody, for joining the call and for everybody's participation.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Everyone.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
So Devendra, are you still on the call?